As we welcome in Taylor Shire, our Director of Officiating from Global Regina. How are you, Taylor?
I'm doing great.
Before I forget, I have a gift certificate for you here from Ballers Rec Room.
Nice.
So have lunch on us.
Okay.
Maybe eating steak on us, man. Living high on the hog. Darren, the Leafs implosion last night, please give it your assessment.
That wasn't good. It wasn't good. That's somebody mentioned that's one of the toughest losses they've had since the Game 7 loss. And it's probably real. I mean, they're in such a battle to try and get into the playoffs, and the division's so tight and the conference is so tight, and there's so much parity anyway in both conferences and all of hockey. Like the line between getting in and getting out of the playoffs is so paper thin. And then to lose Freddie Anderson in that hockey game, and they just imploded. Yeah, it was a tough one.
You don't seem as upset as most Leaf fans.
No,
are you hiding it well?
I don't get that upset. I mean, but it is. It's a big deal, especially when you have a lead like that. But Florida's a good team. And if you remember back to the beginning, I picked Florida in the Stanley Cup final. Them to go to the Stanley Cup final. So I think they're going to get in. But, Toronto's got to be able to close out those games. That's for sure.
Pausing the hockey talk for a moment, Dale Wagner writes in, says, "Hey, Rod, I was hearing rumors on social media yesterday that Shaq Evans was close to being re-signed by the Riders yesterday. Have you heard anything? Because I know you're in the know." Ha, ha, ha. That rumor has been out there for a month, Dale. So just hold tight. Riders are doing what they can. This is the one thing about the Rider Nation that annoys me a little bit. First, it was the coaching staff. When are they going to announce their coaching staff? Then they do. When are they going to sign this guy? When are they going to sign Cam Judge? Then they do. When are they going to sign Shaq Evans? Like, woosah. Calm down, man. Like Jeremy O'Day will get it done. There's no better GM in the league as far as I'm concerned. He'll get it done. Any thoughts on that, Taylor, before I go to Battle of Alberta?
Well, this new free agent window that's opened, right? This 8-day window is allowing these players to hear other offers. I imagine that's what Shaq Evans is doing right now. Jeremy O'Day would have extended him an offer, and now Shaq's going to wait and see what his value is across the league, and that's probably what he's doing, and then he'll make a decision where he wants to go based on the best contract offer.
The way I've read the Cam Judge thing, interesting that he signed 5, 6, 7 hours into the window opening. Seemed to me like he saw some offers coming from teams weren't what he liked or expected or wanted, and signed back with the Riders for what was the best deal. That's the way it looks to me.
Yeah, that's the way it seems. And the interesting part about this free agent bidding window almost is that if you're any team across the league, you can't just toss out contract offers to everybody. Because then if they start accepting it, you're going to be...
That's the weird thing about it.
In a bit of trouble because you're going to have 15 guys at way too much money. So you got to pick and choose where you want to spend your money and how many guys you want to reach out to. Because if 100% come back, you're going to be way over the salary cap.
Yeah, I'm with you on the Cam Judge thing. I mean, the understanding is that deal was kind of in place, or there was a bit of an understanding in place before the window opened. But even if he was looking at some offers, I'm assuming that it's in a position where I'm in a really good situation. Mm-hmm. I had a career year. I've got great coaches around me. It's a great environment. This is where I want to be. So if these offers that come in over the first couple of days, not just they don't have to be more, they got to knock my socks off. And if they knock my socks off, then I'm going to entertain them. But if it's, $10,000 more or something like that, I mean, you look at that and think, okay, I'm getting a fair deal. Let's get it done.
Or he says, he goes back to O'Day and says, hey, here's what other teams are offering me. I really want to stay here. Can you help me out a little bit? Maybe the offers were better, but he wants to be here. So he said, hey, here's what other teams are offering me. Bump me up a little bit and I'll re-sign right.
That seems very likely too.
Right.
Yeah. Now, just ahead of Matthew Barnaby joining us from the nation's capital, Taylor is our Director of Officiating. He is an ordained SHA official. So the Battle of Alberta, I just assumed you were anti-fighting like every other referee, but you're saying you're not.
Fighting has its purpose in any league, whether it's, not minor hockey, but...
or football.
No, but we're talking hockey.
Okay.
Yeah, and football, basketball, and all that. I don't think it does. But certainly in hockey, and I think the Battle of Alberta, it needed that fight on Wednesday with Tkachuk and Cassian. It just needed it. And then to see the explosion on Saturday night, the goalie fight, the kind of... line brawl. You don't really see full line brawls anymore.
No.
That was the first time.
And not goalie fights.
Yeah, and not goalie fights. It was the first time. But fans are talking about it. People are talking about it. And as officials, you really don't have any choice about if these guys are going to go or not, right? You let them, if they want to go, if there's willing combatants, you let them go. So that's how I see it as an official. I don't have a stance. I'm not going to go and say you can't fight. If they want to go, if both guys want to go, they're going to go.
Well, I got in a pretty big argument with blog readers because my Monday morning goalie column returned yesterday after a 2-year hiatus, after being pulled for 2 years. After being David Riddick for 2 years, the Monday morning goalie is back. And I said, I just don't understand why fighting is deemed so evil. And we brushed on this a little bit yesterday. Guys like Bill Chow, Ron Robinson, guys that run leagues, are hockey guys. And they're against fighting. And people, I put that in my column, and people were writing in saying, Wade Belak, Bob Probert, Todd Ewan, Derek Bugard. He forgot Rick Rippon. But I was kind of going back and forth with that guy, the reader, anonymous. No, actually, he did give his name. His name was Jim Leahy. I knew or was friends with all of those guys. And a lot of their issues were away from the game. Fighting didn't help.
Yep.
But that's not the reason they died, in my opinion. I don't think you can nail me to the wall for that. And I'm not saying I don't like 3 fights a game by each guy. That's not right either. But to do an outright ban on it, which is where I think it's going, isn't right either. And actually what you said, Taylor, was that there is a place in the game for fighting. You mentioned specifically the Battle of Alberta, but just in hockey overall, explain how you think there's a spot for fighting.
It leaves accountability to a certain player. If he wants to take a cheap shot, he has to be accountable and stick up for himself, or his teammates have to stick up for himself, and that's where it is. If I take a run at somebody, I'm gonna have to look and see who's gonna come after me
or stick somebody.
Well, exactly, right. So there's accountability. I think that's where fighting is important, to leave that accountability, because how do you settle the score if a guy sticks a guy wherever in the face? How does that other team get even?
The pendulum swings, and when the pendulum swings, we often say it swings too far back the other way when we're trying to correct things in sports. And I know, you go back a certain way, and things were policed. In the Gretzky area, you had Dave Semenko, you had guys who were policing, and then every team started getting a guy. And as we move forward, you got more and more of that, but less and less hate in the game. And so there was less and less need, I think, for that designated tough guy. And so you started having these staged fights, and you had guys thinking, okay, who am I fighting tonight? Before you even know if the game's going to have any emotion in it, before you know if there's going to be any hate in the game. So then it became stage fighting, and that, it just doesn't look good. It didn't really fit in the game. It didn't really serve much of a purpose. So then it started becoming, blood sport, and I understand why we don't want that in the game. And when we talk about watching the highlights now, and teams are mandated to not put fights in the highlight package, I understand that too, and I probably agree with it until it becomes part of the storyline, which is what happens in the Battle of Alberta. Right. There's so much emotion in the game, there's so much hate going on that it spills over, and you got to include that. There's such a place for that type of activity in the game and that fighting. I got time for that all day long.
But who decides who's right and who's wrong? And the NHL cut the fights out of their highlight package from Saturday night.
You're watching Rod Pedersen On Demand. For more of The Rod Pedersen Show, visit rodpedersen.com or follow Rod Pedersen on social media.